And you need a good financial basis. I told you something about the primary goals and sub-goals. Stopping animal testing. That's our primary goal as the Anti-Vivisection Coalition. So that also means no animal welfare, animal rights, animal liberation. That's animal testing. That's our primary goal, stopping it. And how do we reach primary goals? Through sub-goals. Sub-goals are smaller goals who are more reachable in the next upcoming months of years. Sub-goals are concrete and something you can let's say you have a sub-goal and which is clear and you want to reach it, and that's a possibility. What is really vital is that you analyze and evaluate what you're doing. If you don't do that, you're just ending up doing something just to feel good. I don't know how many people went to the workshop of Nick Cooney. That's something I've read and have been really inspired to. Because we always analyze and evaluate because we have really clear goals and we want to reach that. For instance, AVC wants to ban all experiments on dogs, cats and primates. That's part of our primary goal, ending all experiments. A sub-goal is to win campaigns against universities to halt primate experiments in Belgium and the Netherlands. So you have to analyze the weak and positive sides of your campaign. Is your sub-goal realistic? Again, it's concrete. Always evaluate your campaign. So a sub-goal is something you can win in the next couple of years. And it should reach to your primary goal, ending animal experiments in total. I'll give you a few examples. Example 1. It's a neurological experiment on monkeys at the KU Leuven in Belgium. We analyze and evaluate that in order to be aware if we really gonna win this campaign or not. So we make a strong and weak points list of this campaign. We have started this campaign in 2009, so we're really clear about what our strong points are. We found out that the experiments are difficult to defend for the university, because the experiments are happening for over decades. The research is fundamental. So the research means that it's not something to make medicines out tomorrow. It's something ongoing. What they're also doing is cocaine experiments on primates. So if I have a campaign in the streets and are telling people about these experiments, I can tell the people that they're using cocaine and make monkeys addicted to these animal tests. So that's something people won't understand and won't. The experiments are expensive and funded by the taxpayer. The suffering is understandable. Monkeys with wires in their heads, fixed in a chair. There's media interest for our campaigns. The public opinion supports it. The majority, 81%, is against these monkey experiments. We have good contact with the ministry. We've spoken with the ministry on Wednesday, and we want a phase-out period to ban the monkey experiments. There are some more seats, so if you want to sit down, please, feel free. And which is also important, experiments are not obligated by law. So you see, with this analyze, there's a lot of strong points to win this campaign. So if you want to start a campaign, you should realize what are your strong points and what are your weak points. If you don't have so many strong points for your campaign, maybe you should do something else. We also have some weak points of the campaign. And the university is stubborn and not willing to quit. The campaign started in 2009, which makes it more difficult to get media interest. We don't get more and more activists at our protests. And the politicians, as we all are aware of, are slow to act. But still, it's funny because I wrote this workshop, and next Friday we have a talk with the new dean of the university. And he wants to talk with us before the protest we have on the 23rd of September. So something is moving on. So even these weak points can turn around in the next future. So that's really interesting. So analyze and evaluate. So if you have your own campaigns, you must be aware of what you're doing. So the conclusion. The KU Leuven is not willing to quit. But now we have to talk. So maybe they have. Maybe they are willing to quit. But before I wrote this, they were not willing to quit. Therefore, our priority must be on changing laws. To change laws, you need to lobby the politicians. You need press interest and public opinion. So if the Belgian government is banning monkey experiments, then we reach our sub-goal and part of our main goal, ending all animal experiments. What I think is really interesting, if they're gonna ban some parts of animal experiments, is that the ethical view is changing by the politicians. So if, for instance, if you're saying it's not okay to test on animals for cosmetics, then the ethical view of politicians are already changing, that it's not always okay to test on animals. So there's already a ban on big apes in Europe. And if we're gonna also expand it to other primates experiments to ban that, then there's gonna be fewer species to test on. And if we already get our foot in the door with looking different about animals and changing the politician perspective on animals, then that's also something really vital for the next future, to ban all animal experiments. And therefore, sub-goals are really vital. So you must really be aware. I'll go to next. There is, of course, also, maybe you do also other campaigns. Analyze and evaluate. I'll give you an example. If you do vegan outreach, if you want to promote a vegan lifestyle, you still need sub-goals. Because if you don't know what you want to reach, then you're not reaching out for anything. So you have to know, you have to do your research. Who is our target audience? How to approach them? And what will be our message? These are difficult questions to answer. So your primary goal is really vital, is promoting veganism, or in our case with the Anti-Vivisection Coalition, is halting animal testing. But making good sub-goals are really vital, and you need information to make a difference. So what is your target audience? In Luxembourg, we're here now. Just to be clear, all this information, I didn't do research about it. This was just a feeling. But let's say I did research, and this is the outcome. That 5% of the Luxembourg people are vegetarian, 25,000 people. 30% is interested in a vegetarian lifestyle, 150,000 people. And out of those people, 70% is female in the age of 80 to 45 with a steady income, living in a city, own a pet, and is interested in health. This is our backup group in the Netherlands about vivisection. We did studies about that. So let's say they are also interested in vegetarian and vegan lifestyle. So know your target audience. If I know that, and then I know I'm not going for an 80-year-old male living here in this town. I'm not going to convince him to become more interested in vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. For instance, if you do protests against circuses with wild animals, you also have to do the study. Who is visiting those circuses? And how do I reach them? And what is my sub-goal to become an effective campaigner? As again, you only have 24 hours a day, so you must be really focused on that. What are the strong points in our campaign? an ethical choice, health benefits, environmental and human benefits. So we have a lot of strong points in our campaign. But these strong points are appealing to vegetarians and people interested in a vegetarian lifestyle, especially, again, the females in the age of 80 to 45 with a steady income, living in a city and who own a pet. What was really interesting about the talk with Nick Cooney, and he said okay, if you focus on the females, who are going to influence the men? Again, who are influencing the men? That's the females. They have a lot of influence on men. So also indirectly, you can still reach out to men. So that's really vital to know. Of course, you have weak points in a campaign if you promote veganism. It's difficult to get vegan products. You have to find your own way. There's a social context. We all know that. We're all aware of that. If you just turn vegan, and there's still a lot of people who are not. So if you go eating out or you have a meeting with your family, then it's difficult, the social context. Men, but can be influenced by females, of course, and not familiar with veganism. So that's the weak points. So you have to work around it. Again, what is your sub-goal? Our sub-goal is to promote veganism at our target audience, female in the age of 45. Well, we heard it before. Our sub-goal is to make vegan food more available for our target audience. Our sub-goal is to create a network of vegans and potential vegans to meet and greet. So, in order to make your sub-goal concrete, you should put a marker on your activities. How many people do I reach? Is it my target audience? How many people do turn vegan? What's going well and what not? So again, Nick Cooney is just wrote an excellent book. I haven't read it about veganism and how to turn people vegan. So he has already done the work for us. Read those books and use it in your own campaigns. So now you have to find out, how do we reach those females in that age? Where and when? How to attract attention towards veganism? So you found out that your target audience is buying groceries in an organic shop, is reading health magazines, owns a Facebook page. Again, this is something you have to study. This is something I made up. I'm not doing a veganism campaign, anti-vivisection campaigns, but these are examples for your own campaigns. You can use in your own campaigns in the future. Talking about outreach. If you want to look for the media and your target audience is clear, make sure you get interviews in women magazines, that you get on the radio. Make social media. Make a woman-friendly Facebook page with information on veganism, health, animal-related issues, cooking tips. Make it interesting for your target audience. For instance, if you want to get me interested about a subject, put something about football on your Facebook page, and I'll be more interested. Or about punk music, for instance, or U2, or other interests I have. Because that's the target audience if you want to reach me. But if you want to reach out to the target audience I have just put on, then you must be really clear about that. Set up events, meet and greet, make a social context. What worked really well in the Netherlands, it was a vegan challenge. Some people have heard about it, that you can ask people to turn vegetarian or vegan and use that for 20 days. They got really helped out by getting tips, and 1,500 people did it in the Netherlands. That's a great outcome, and it's cheap, but it's a smart thinking. You can set up workshops, making veganism visible with a vegan app for the smartphone. You need money for that, obviously. Contacting canteens to get vegan options, supporting local businesses with vegan options. I was in Sweden 1 week ago. It was for the first time in 10 years I had a vegan pizza with vegan cheese and vegan ham. It was just in a regular pizzeria, and they had a vegan menu. And they were not interested in veganism at all. The only reason why they did it was because normal people like you went to the pizzeria and asked them, please give us vegan options. Then we make sure that loads of us, our people, are going there and eating there. So that's really simple and really effective. Now they have a vegan menu. There's now five restaurants in Stockholm where you can just have a vegan pizza. So that is really vital, because if you are in a social context with your family and you want to eat out, now you can choose that pizzeria, for instance, and have a nice meal all together. We see that. I've spoken yesterday with someone from Seattle. You can get soy milk for the coffees in every shop in Seattle. In the Netherlands, a liberal country, in Amsterdam, one of the most liberal cities of the world, we don't have those options. So we're not doing something right here. And that can happen in any town, in Luxembourg or wherever you live. So if you want to promote veganism, then you should set up like a sub-goal and make it concrete in order to reach out to your primary goal, is making a social change. What is really vital, especially with the Anti-Vivisection Coalition, if you have any ambition to set up like a national organization, that there is a captain, a specialist, and volunteers. Qualities of a good leader. As good an evaluation and analyzing. Communication skills, social skills, hard worker, taking the lead in all activities, making choices, a good organizer, and ambitious. That's a lot of qualities. If you want to become a good leader, that's important. Because if someone is telling you, other volunteers, what to do, and just sitting behind his desk and never shows, and never give a good example, then you're not following that. So it's important. If you want to be an effective animal rights organization, even on a smaller scale, focusing, for instance, on wild animals in circuses, you have to show a good example always and everything. You have to organize it properly and well. Specialists are really important. It's for your communication, media, or workshop related. For instance, if you're not a good spokesperson for the press, but you have all the other qualities, find someone who is good in press and just ask that person to focus on the press. So you have a specialist doing the press work. We have specialists on computers, on Facebook, on banners, on research. So depending on your goal, but it's really vital to get people with more skills to get interested in your campaigns. Volunteers. It's vital for our campaign groups. With our Anti-Vivisection organization, if we're standing with 10 people in front of a laboratory, it's not so interested for the media. So what we're going to do, we start with 10 people, and we make sure everything is well organized. And we ask these 10 people to bring someone along the next time. And then the next time you're standing there 15, 20 people. And the time after, and after, you're growing and growing. But then again, you have to well organized, good communication skills, get a good press release, and making sure you got a team that it's not always the same action, that you create some variety in your campaigns. Because the more volunteers you get in our activist campaigns, the stronger you get. We started in 2007 with demonstrations with only 10 people. Or if we do a protest now at a Wednesday at a private laboratory, we were at 175 people. That was amazing. So you have to be ambitious and make sure that people are allowed to get to your demonstration, so you get more transport, for instance. And what is really easy, what is there's nothing more easy than someone who is coming, a new person, shake and give him a hand and tell them that you're happy that this person is here. And afterwards, make contact with Facebook and thank the person that they went to your protest. Make connections with people. It's really easy to just stand there in the corner, just with your friends, just with the people you always liked. But they are not important. They will be there the next time. Important is the guy or girl who are new there. Make them feel welcome. For sometimes we feel social outcasts in society. So if people are at your demonstration or at your action or workshop, make sure that they feel welcome. Because we're all the same people fighting for the same thing. What is really important is the financial basis. Finances are essential for your organization if you want to. If you have more impact as an activist group, you want to grow in outreach. If you do vegan outreach, you cannot have like leaflets, just print it out. It has to look nice. There's cheap internet printers nowadays, so you have to get a bit of income. If you want to have more professionalism in your organization, sometimes it costs money to pay for specialists. If there are no volunteers, then sometimes you have to pay for it. If you want to grow as an organization, if you want to get people more and more in your group working 40, 50 hours a week, then you have to make sure that these people are able to do that. If they have to do other jobs on the side, then they cannot put that time in your campaign group. A financial help more animals. If you have a sanctuary and you have no money and you can only feed 50 animals, it's the end. But if you have enough space and you have enough money, then you can help more animals. This financial basis is really, really, really important. And I'm also happy to hear at this Luxembourg conference that really well-organized grassroots organizations are finally putting more and more effort in fundraising. Because now all the money goes to the big groups who are just promoting animal welfare or sitting on the money, paying too much money for the directors or high buildings. Nobody needs. We need to get the money for the activists who really do something. So it's vital. We set up good fundraising. We can learn from the big groups, get the money, and be more professional and more effective. So how do you get more donations? You can collecting money on the street. You need a permit for that. We have raised 10,000 euros with collecting money on the streets. We have a 9-person minivan now driving activists to our actions. It was a lot of work. It took us 9 weeks in total, over a period of like 15 months. But now we have a minivan. We drove here to Luxembourg. So it really is important to get your money. Collecting money on private ground. If you have a donation jar, it's even allowed to stand in the supermarket sometimes. You have to ask a permission. If you stand there really and you put your heart in it and you do it for 5 hours, you can reach up to 100 to 150 euros. That's a lot of money. If you have 5 persons doing that on that same day in 5 different locations, you have a lot of money. So the money is there, just there on the streets. You have a good story, you're passionate about animals, so make sure you get the money in. Sponsored walks. Once we have been invited at a school and we did workshops there. We talked about animal rights and vivisection. And after that, all the kids did a run. And you can sponsor the kids. They raised 700 euros for us. It was nice that it was organized for us. We only had to participate. But you can also organize it yourself. It is possible. Charity dinners that you can have a vegetarian or vegan friendly place. Organize it that you sell a seat for 40 or 50 euros or cheaper, whatever you want, and they can eat whatever they want, and the money they spend on drinks goes to the bar. But you can raise 1,000 to 1,500 euros with that. That's happening in the Netherlands. We don't do that, or other organizations doing that, but that's just an example. Benefits, and you have, for instance, you have these dance events, big organizations doing that, with big groups going there, and they're raising 15 till 20,000 euros. Why have we never done that before? Organizing an event, raising so much money. Garage sales is also an option, but there's many ways to raise donations. So be creative. This is not a good one, merchandise, because you have to spend 1,000 euros in order to maybe get 1,500 euros. And before you sell all your t-shirts, it takes forever. Merchandise is a no-no. This is vital. Membership. Membership is really vital for an organization. For instance, if someone becomes a member and you get like 5 euros a month, 5 euros is nothing. You cannot run your organization with it. But if you get, after every month, 5 euros, that's 60 euros a year. If you have 100 members of 5 euros a month, that's 600, it's 500 euros a month. So you see, it counts. How to get more members? The easy ones. Pick your family, friends, and colleagues. And be firm. Don't be shy. Tell them you have special projects, you need money from them, and they need to give it to you. You have to be really firm about it. If you're shy about it, you're not going to get it. Be really firm. You need that money. Ask your volunteers. Be careful. Yeah? If you have poor volunteers, ask them to donate €1 a month. If you have more, if you have volunteers with a bit more money, you can ask a bit more. So all this you could already create. If you were 5 people doing this, you can already create 100 members if you want to. 100 times 5 euros is already 500 euros a month. You can, on your own events, you can ask people to become a member. During workshops, during demonstrations. I could also I could ask you to become a member of our organization. On the streets, for instance, face to face. You see, it's really annoying when you have talks in this when you walk in the streets. There's this bigger organizations asking you to become a member. But we are different. We're passionate, and we just ask them, and we're friendly. And if they say no, it's no. But if they say yes, then you have another member. Even if it's a small group of people doing that, even if you only get like 5 members every Saturday, it's gonna end up in the next couple of years. Social media. It's possible to ask members by social media, by sending monthly e-newsletters. And also interesting, talk with professional fundraisers. I learned this weekend already a lot about how to get more members in our organization. So I spend 1 Saturday every week on fundraising, and we have 2,000 members now, and since the 1st of January, I'm able to do this as a paid job. And we want every 2 years to hire someone so we can really get a strong organization in the Netherlands, Belgium, and the UK. I think it's really vital. If you're serious about animal rights, then you need to get this thing done. Because it's better that the money goes to people who make a difference than other organizations who are just promoting animal welfare, for instance. Conclusions. Why are the 3 basics so vital? Imagine an animal shelter without money and volunteers. It's not successful. An action group without quality material. You're standing there with your banner. It's homemade. Maybe it's good you put your heart in it, but it's not going to reach out to the press. A rich NGO without ambitious and clear sub-goals. Unfortunately, a lot of NGOs don't have clear sub-goals. They have a really clear goal, and it's getting more and more money in. And they forgot why they existed. They forgot why they started up their organization. Promoting veganism without knowing who is the target audience doesn't make sense. So if you want to be successful in your work, you need to follow the 3 basics. If you're not willing to work on the 3 basics, then you are taking up space, time, money, and effort for other groups who are doing everything what is within their power to be successful. I mean this. It's not about you. It's about the animals. So either you do it professionally, go all the way, or join another organization and be a volunteer. But if you just do it for 1 year and 2 years and starting an organization and ending it, I've seen it too many times. You're making up space for other groups who want to do everything in their power to be effective and making a difference. So this is really, really vital for me. That's the end. Are there any people who have some questions about all this? Yes.
Hi again.
Hi.
You said about doing research to reach testing. How would we go about doing research to reach our target audience? Because I'm involved in circus campaigns, hunt monitoring, all sorts of different things, and I want to do talks on various aspects of animal rights. So how would I start to gather the research for my target audience?
Well, first you have to be clear about what is your primary goal. Is that like circuses or is it hunting? That's already important. What is your primary goal? What do you want to reach? And if you want to, for instance, stop wild animals in circuses, if that's your primary goal, then you have to focus on your sub-goal. Do I want to halt the wild animals in circus in your region, for instance? That could be an important sub-goal. And if you know that, then you can go do the research. Who is the target audience? So who are the people going into the circuses? Just observe. You can just observe. You have done many protests, so then you know, for instance, I don't know the research, but you can even sit there for a whole day and see if it's families. And if you know it's, for instance, it's families with children, then you have to find out where are the families and children, where can I reach them? You cannot reach them in a football stadium, but you can reach them at other places where they come together.
It's mainly females, 20 to 30, with young children.
Yeah.
Or grandparents occasionally, but mainly young
well,
females.
That's also a perfect target audience, because they are most likely more sensitive about the suffering of animals.
The children are, the parents aren't.
No, not at the moment they go into the circuses, because actually you're spoiling their nice day out. Yes. So you have to reach them before they go. And that's the moment. And that's again making an analysis of your weak and strong points. So if you've done that many times, standing in front of like a circus, and you see there's no good reaction because people are going in there anyway. They already have the ticket spot, or they promised the children. They cannot explain it to the children. I'm sorry, you're not going to see the lion today because this nice lady, she has a leaflet, and I believe her, and we go.
To turn a few people away on the way in.
I know, just a few. But you rather don't want to get them in there.
True.
So that's the research you have to do.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Is there one more question? Can you come up here, please?
Not totally a question, but if anybody else is wondering how to get good research done if you end up having enough funding to fund research, the Humane Research Council is vegan-owned and operated research firm. They their whole goal, their whole mission is to put research analysis in the hands of animal advocates. So, yeah, Humane Research Council if you end up wanting to do some serious research for your campaigns.
Thank you.
Do we have another question?
Is there anyone who has specific campaigns and feels like it's not really working out and there needs to be a bit more pressure? feel free. There's a lot of people with years of experience here in the room, so it would be really nice if you put it on the table. Don't feel shy.
No one?
I hope you did it.
I email restaurants and ask them to take foie gras off the menu. How do I get to the customers before they actually buy it? Because a lot of customers who buy foie gras don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
But if you go into restaurants and you've got leaflets ready and you pretend to be a customer and you start handing out leaflets to customers, the restaurant owners get you out. So I want to target the people who actually buy it and they don't even know what it is. So that's my target audience, but how do I?
Yeah,
know?
but what do you think the target audience is of people buying foie gras? You have noticed that, I guess.
Well, like I say, I'm just aiming at the grassroots level, if you like, is the restaurant owners, but I want to get down to people, turn them off buying it.
But it's the people have money who are capable of eating foie gras. If these were all not animal rights people, I think none of you have ever eaten foie gras, because I don't think you are really rich to spend money on foie gras. And it's also a difficult target audience, because it's difficult to reach them because they might care less about animals than the ones we normally hit. So maybe you should move away from the customers, because they're not really interested anyway in your subject, and maybe start campaigns which are more like effective. Because if you do an analyze about your qualities, your strong and weak points, then you'll see the strong points of your campaign is that there's a lot of suffering involved, and everybody, the majority, is supporting your campaign. Is not in favor of foie gras. I'm not talking about the French audience, but you're from Britain. So you see, that's a strong point. But the people who are buying that, the weak point, is the target audience who don't care, because they know about foie gras suffering, and they don't care because it's a status and really interesting for them to eat out there.
While there's a demand, there's going to be a supply.
Yes. So even so, you can only if there's a majority for something, then it has to go to a political level, and then you have to focus on that, and then you have to really think, how do I reach the politicians, and how do I show them that the majority is against it. We did a poll, for instance, to show that the most people are against monkey experiments. It's a fact now. We have it costs us a few €1,000, but we have 81% against monkey experiments, and we go to the parliament and we can prove now that 81% is against it. And that's something familiar as well. So I would say go away from the restaurants and try to influence more the politicians.
So I think we have time for one more question, if anyone does have a question.
I'm the Dr. Phil of animal rights at this moment, so please.
Come up here.
Yeah, because I'm bold. Yeah.
With regard to the question of how to raise money, in Switzerland we've been trying out a concept that's been developed in practical ethics, and that's called earning to give. So the idea is that you have some activists not pursuing like what you might expect activists to do, but actually go and earn money. And in Switzerland it's quite easy to earn like 100,000 a year, and then they'll donate everything above like a threshold of 30,000. They'll donate everything, and we think that might be a good way to raise really big money, because I mean with 500 a month you can't really do much. And I don't know, have you thought about similar stuff too? I mean, if you have a group, or usually when you talk to people who want to be animal rights activists, I mean, many will say, yeah, I'd like to be a professional activist, like, you know, investing 50 hours or more a week for animals, but I need to have something to live on, and we don't have the money. And so the idea was kind of, if you have 10 such people, but no money, then have 1 or 2 people who have earning opportunities do this earning, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a sacrifice maybe for them, but they will be will be able to finance the whole group with their wage. Have you thought about similar ideas too?
I think it's a really brilliant idea. So you're actually saying you have a pledge to support a cause for animal rights, and does so the person is getting a job, and 10 or 20 or 30% or even more is going to the cause. So in order to make you finance me, I need a good story. So then again, I need to have a good primary goal, sub-goal, and showing where you invest your time, because you gave loads of, you could have done something nice with that money. So I have to convince you that I have a good story, so in order that you give the money to us so we can help animals. So again, that's really vital that the primary goals and sub-goals are really clear. And then I have to find you who is willing to finance me. That's something also, I would say, how is the group started? Is it like, again, friends and colleagues, or how do I find you then? That's my question to you. Like, how do, for instance, the Italians or the Dutch find people like you who are willing to give 10, 20, or 30%? No, but it happens in Switzerland. It's a unique. Yeah, it's a question because you're doing this at the moment for animal rights. So who did influence you to give that money?
No, I'm not giving. I'm myself part of 2 or 3 animal rights groups in Switzerland, and we're just trying this thing out now. And the idea was was to convince people who. Not to convince people, to take people who are already convinced by the cause. So people who would have been doing like volunteering, I mean, there are people who do volunteering for like 20 hours a week or something. And if you have a person that would invest really lots of hours into volunteering, but could go into earning some other money somewhere, that might be worth it. So the idea is not to find new people, but to take those that are already in and see who might have good earning opportunities. Because, I mean, yeah, it's maybe quite a big sacrifice to then donate like 50% of your wage, but if you really care about the cause, if you think animal rights is the most important thing to promote, then it's likely that you will find some people. I mean, if in Switzerland, for instance, one case we had is a person that was a teacher, but then quit the job and had a hard time finding the money to live on in order to do like 30, 40 hours of volunteering for animal rights stuff. And then we were able to convince that person to go back into earning. She was then able to earn like 8,000 francs a month and would donate like 5,000 a month to the group. Yeah. And that made just a huge difference.
I think it's really nice. Only you have to be aware, if you do that, then the organization is really depending on you. So, or the other 5 or 10 people financing that. So if you, for instance, in our organization, because we got loads of members for a small amount of money giving each month, and therefore we're really strong. If 5 people quits and stop the donation, then we can still continue. But if you quit giving money to the organization, then it's going to be really harsh for the organization and falls flat. But again, I think it's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're out of time now. I want to thank you, Robert, for your speech.